Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to talk about Mr. Alex Karp because something new came up on the earnings call and I got a realization and I really think it deserves a video on its own because it's just that big. So as always, if you like this content, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future videos. And let's begin the video. So Alex Karp is not who you think he is. Who is Mr. Alex Karp? He is the eccentric co-founder of Palantir. He has been with the company since forever. He is someone that says a lot of bad things about himself as a CEO. He says that he's very bad at sales and Palantir is bad at sales. He doesn't like Wall Street. This is why they did a direct public offering as opposed to the initial public offering, also known as IPO. And basically in an IPO, you let Wall Street buy your shares cheaper, and then when they go out on the market, then they take a risk because if they cannot sell the shares that they bought from you at a higher price, then they basically need to underwrite the IPO and guarantee that your shares will be sold. But this is also a very good way of being friends with Wall Street and the analysts, and basically they went another route. They just directly offer the shares, so they cut out all of Wall Street. And I think that this is significant in the Palantir story because this, I believe, resulted in that Wall Street didn't like them. They didn't get a lot of analysts. Wall Street never got to understand them, and because they never got to make money on them, they also didn't really like them. And they never got coached by Wall Street, so it's also Dr. Karp and the whole team didn't really know how to react and what to say to Wall Street. So it was something that they had to learn. And he is someone who talks philosophy on earnings calls and has a PhD in philosophy and uses very strange words and gives off a know-it-all vibe sometimes. So now let's look at what is the problem with him. So in 2022, we as retail investors had certain issues we wished were better with Palantir. So we were all talking about that their go-to-market strategy is not clear, and they gave off this vibe of, we know what we're doing, we're just not telling you, and it was, I believe it was not really communicated well, and it felt like that they were only going after the super huge companies, the Global 2000 and the $10+ million contracts. And we as Palantir bulls knew that that market is super limited and you cannot really have an S-curve in that market. And then on top of it, Karp was continuously saying that they're very bad at sales, and it was just not a pretty picture, right? Then there was this other issue in the 2022 Palantir. It was very hard to understand what the company did. And I made another video about it where I was saying that to get a good idea of what Palantir does, you had to watch hundreds of hours of content online. It wasn't like a Tesla where you know that, oh, they make electric cars, they have the superchargers, and relatively simply you can come into what the company does. Palantir used to be a very complicated company. Then we had the infamous stock-based compensation, which was, really scaring off institutional investors, and it was a constant talking point. Then, of course, we have an 18, 20-year-old company that has never been profitable, has this huge stock-based compensation, and it just doesn't or didn't look right. And on top of it, he said that he really cares about retail investors, but he didn't really show this on earnings calls or interviews. He, kept acting weird and wasn't just giving off the best vibes. And he has basically proclaimed that he's completely transparent. He is the way he is. And if you don't like him, you can invest into other companies because he is never going to change. So I believe that in this new quarter, a new star emerged, and this is Alex Karp and his management style. Think about it. Since really Q3, they have been doing everything right. The SBC is really, really lessening every quarter, and this is something that they have promised, right? They really recognize that they are in a very different market environment than they were before. There is an infamous talk called Tattooed Chef, which a really big finance YouTuber invested super much money on, and that company seems to be going bankrupt, right? And I saw the video of this YouTuber who said, look, when I invested in this company, their balance sheet was, no debt. They had a ton of cash. And the CEO was talking about growth, all the right things, right? And then there was an interview with the CEO about what happened with his company. And he said that they IPO'd in 2022, in 2020, something like that, during COVID times. And at that time, they were told that Wall Street only wants to see growth. So they basically blew all their cash balance to show growth for Wall Street. They didn't really manage. They still didn't have very nice growth. And in the meantime, they didn't recognize that, with the interest rates going up, we are in a completely different environment. And now the investors don't want to see growth. They want to see profitability. They want to see cash flow. They want to see that they're not being diluted out of the universe, and so forth and so forth. And this stock was just not able to adapt. And I feel that Palantir is the polar opposite of this. They recognize that there was a time when all the investors cared about is growth, and now it's a new time. Money is not free anymore. There is a new economy that we all have to adjust to, and now investors want to see profitability, and this is exactly what they delivered. Even though I must add it was with a little bit of accounting trickery and, just on the hair. But hey, profitability is profitability. They put a new sales team in place who seems to be doing a very good job because they really keep increasing the number of customers. And he is really changing his tune in interviews. He's very down to earth. You can understand what he's saying. And he is just giving off very good vibes. And I think what has happened is in this almost 2 years that they have been public, Karp was able to learn how Wall Street works, and he's starting to, say the right things, play the right cards to basically get what he wants. So despite the earnings slowdown that happened in this last earnings call, this is the best news. Let me tell you why. So obviously I was not happy with how Palantir was slowing down in the growth, but I walked away more bullish than I've ever been from the Q4 earnings call. And I had to think about why. This is also why I do this video, because this was such an important topic for me that I really think it deserves to really be pointed out. So I see now that Palantir's management, and mainly Alex Karp, is a management that is able to recognize the environment that they operate in, and they are able to adapt and adapt well. This is a fantastic sign. I cannot tell you how many companies see a problem like Toyota and they just refuse to adapt and say that it's always going to be internal combustion engine cars. And then, you have to fire the CEO to save the company. TTCF is another example of this, where the management didn't recognize and couldn't adapt. So here we have a fantastic management. And to be honest, this really shows that he cares about small shareholders, because the stuff that he started saying and doing is very institutional friendly. And the reason why Palantir stock price is so overvalued and then so undervalued is because the institutional investor is nowhere to be found. And why is the institutional investor nowhere to be found? Because they can't invest in a money-losing company where the CEO is eccentric and is doing all these mistakes. And these are all gone now. They are profitable now. He's making them understand what they're doing. He is really, really doing everything correctly. And once the institutional investors come in, this will create a nice buying pressure on the stock. And, it will result in a higher stock price, which might be bad. I want to accumulate as many Palantir shares as I can at a very, very good price. Currently, I think the stock is fairly valued, so I'm not adding, but if it goes below $8, I will be really going out of my way to be buying this stock. And I just think that we are in very, very good hands. As Warren Buffett says, time is the best friend of a good business and an enemy of a lousy one. And this is exactly what I feel we need now. It is time. Time needs to go forward, and we will see a very nicely growing Palantir that is delivering on its promises, and that's going to make you and me very happy, hopefully, in the future. So I hope you like this video. By the way, I have a Patreon where you can support the channel and you get access to me and you get access to exclusive content and you get access to my Palantir valuation table. The price of it is a coffee per month, $5. So if you're interested, it would mean a lot to me if you checked it out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.